Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame for Bitcoin, because we have now finally broken this downtrend that we had been in for over a month at this point. So obviously right now what you can see is we have a higher high in the Bitcoin price, and the next thing to look out for is a potential higher low, maybe even somewhere along this ascending trend line here. Either way, so long as it is a low above this 92,000 US dollar level, then I will consider that a higher low. And even if we do something like this, that would still be a confirmation of the new bullish structure here. And right away, I want to address something, because right here I see a comment, clown, it is 104K and touched 105K, which I think is hilarious that I'm getting this comment. But let me just address this, because I saw this a couple times here over the last couple of days. Look guys, before we just broke out here earlier today, Bitcoin was technically just in a downtrend. Now you need to understand that there's a difference between the different time frames. On the 1 day time frame here, so long as we are below that descending trend line, Bitcoin is simply in a downtrend, technically speaking. And it doesn't matter how you feel about the price. If we're in this strong push to the upside here, it doesn't matter how you feel. What actually matters is the technical analysis. So we have that descending trend line in the price, and we have this descending trend line in the RSI. Now, with us now confirming this break above the descending trend line here, we can start looking for higher prices for Bitcoin once again, and likely reaching into this overbought territory once again on the 1 day time frame at some point. Now, I have literally been talking about this ever since we rejected from this descending trend line here, which at this point is about 2 weeks of me just saying the exact same thing, which is that Bitcoin is in a technical downtrend so long as we are below this descending trend line, and that simply the momentum is weakening. Besides that, I have actually never changed my opinion this entire time, because as I said, if you want a longer term type of bullish confirmation that likely we are getting more movement to the upside here, then you can wait for this break of the trend. However, by trading like that, you aren't going to get in at the exact lows of wherever the low may end up being. Now, no one had a problem with this until we got this break above the descending trend line, and now I'm getting called a clown for this. So let me just show you the last couple of days for me of how I was trading. So here you can see in the bottom right of your screen, this is since the 14th of January. Here you can see a long with close to 240% gain. Here you can see a long with close to a 100% gain. Here you can see another long with about 100% gain, and a short with about a 13% gain. Here you see another long with about 122% gain. And lastly, here you see one last long with about 115% gain. So yes, obviously I have been longing Bitcoin on this lower time frame here. So yes, again, understand that there's a difference between the different time frames. We can be in a short-term uptrend while we are in a broader downtrend. So now that we have actually confirmed the break of this downtrend, now we can start looking for higher price action for Bitcoin once again. So potentially we can see some kind of higher low to come in here, and we resume from there, blasting off, breaking the all-time highs here for Bitcoin. And then we start looking for much higher prices for Bitcoin after that. So I know that you guys that have been following me here for some time already understand this, but I just thought I would explain it one more time on the channel here, because obviously a lot of new people are coming into the space right now that maybe don't have this technical analysis type of background. Something to note here on this 4-hour time frame in terms of the RSI is that we have now touched into overbought territory here. Typically when the RSI is in overbought territory, it means that there is limited room to the downside, and usually what you'll see is that the RSI will reset back towards this 50 level here. And the way it does that is either by the price chopping sideways again on that 4-hour time frame, or potentially getting some bearish momentum in the short term in order to reset the RSI more quickly. Now, in the case that we are in a strong uptrend where we are seeing a lot of bullish momentum, for example, what we saw here earlier today, then sometimes you get a situation like this where, for example, here you reach into overbought territory, you reset down just a little bit, and then head into overbought territory once again. So that is something to potentially look out for. And the way to well, keep an eye on this most effectively is just taking an ascending trend line and just assuming that so long as we are above that, then you can continue to expect the Bitcoin price to go up there. But if you start seeing those technical breakdowns of actual ascending trend lines being broken, in my opinion, this ascending trend line is actually the most important one. But since we are quite a ways above that, you could look towards a shorter term trend line as a potential warning signal in the short term for the RSI to reset down just a little bit. And to summarize here, to be extra clear, just to avoid that I'm going to get the exact same comments here tomorrow all over again. Look, I am not saying that we need to get some kind of crash right now. I'm simply telling you that there is limited room to the upside when the RSI is in overbought territory. It's just an objective analysis. It isn't an opinion that I have or something that I want to happen. It is simply what I am seeing in the charts, and you can do with that information what you like. And yes, so long as we hold above that ascending trend line, then we can just assume the price to continue rising higher. Okay, so hopefully that was clear. Now let's take a look at the 2-week Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Right here, you can see that earlier today, we took out a lot of liquidity to the upside. And right now on this 2-week time frame, because we are at a 2-week high, most of the liquidity is to the downside. Most of that sitting at about 101.8K. So again, if you see those technical breakdowns, then that could be a potential area of interest for the Bitcoin price to reach. And there is also quite a bit of liquidity around this 101,000 US dollar level. Apart from that, taking a look at the 1-year Bitcoin liquidation heat map, earlier today, we actually took out over $16 billion worth of short liquidations. So as I talked about yesterday, I did not think the bears would go unpunished by shorting Bitcoin at 103K. Well, one day later, they were already taken out of the market here. And right now, there is also a bunch of liquidity to the upside sitting at 108K. So basically this previous all-time high, which could be a potential area of interest to be taking out of the market here, especially if we continue to keep that uptrend in the short term. Although there is still some liquidity to the downside sitting at 88.8K in the Bitcoin price, which at this point, with us having broken that downtrend, I think it is less likely that we are going to take out that liquidity anytime soon. And again, as I talked about earlier in the video, all we would need to see at this point to technically confirm the uptrend is simply to see a higher low to come into the market. And then at that point, the uptrend would be confirmed. And please do keep in mind that this little squiggle that I drew right here, it's not a call or a prediction. I'm simply showing you what a higher low could be, because the low would be above this previous low right here. Lastly, let's take a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we actually saw a net inflow of over $600 million into the Bitcoin ETFs. And what we can see from the data that we have from Friday, we can see already that this is close to 300 million, with only a couple of the ETFs not having reported yet. So this is looking like likely today was another massive inflow day into the Bitcoin ETFs. And yes, so long as they keep buying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every single weekday, this is going to have an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. Of course, we're about to head into a weekend though, so therefore there's not going to be any new data tomorrow from these ETFs. And instead, I will just be looking at the technical analysis. Either way, this has been today's market update. Don't forget to join the Road to 1 Million community on Discord. This is one of the most active crypto trading communities in the space right now. And you can join this completely for free with the link in the video description. Currently, we have about 2,600 members inside the community right here. But regardless, if you do end up joining or not, thank you for watching once again. And I will see you tomorrow in the next one.